The Volquest Postgame Mini-Podcast as Tennessee falls 30-28 here in the Music City Bowl to Illinois. I'm Eric Kane alongside Matt Ray and Austin Price. Guys, unfortunately, another heartbreaking, another tough loss in this bowl game. That's now three really, really tough ones. 2010, coaches shook hands. Tennessee thought it had won. It did not. 2021, a couple of years ago, at the goal line, stopped short in overtime. And then, of course, this one losing in field goal fashion there, 29-yarder at the buzzer. Unfortunately, Tennessee just kind of played some of the same mistakes, right? I mean, Tennessee defensively played pretty well for a big portion of the game there until the end, it felt like. Too many missed tackles, too many big plays, chunk plays. Tennessee had some costly penalties, Matt, at impromptu times. Offensively, they took Joey Aguilar out of the football game. Tennessee should have ran it a whole lot better than what it did. It was just one of those games where, though that it took a lead late, for me, it felt like Tennessee in the second half was never winning.
Yeah, I mean, the end of the game felt inevitable. The Joakim Dodson touchdown kickoff return was awesome.
And great for him.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, when Illinois got the ball back with the amount of time that they had, it just felt like they were going to grind you right on out of here, and they did just that. And, at the end of the day, you've got to find a way to get those stops. And that's just something that was the Achilles heel for this defense all year long. And it's obviously a reason Josh Heupel's turned into a different defensive coordinator in 2026, but, it still doesn't make this loss sting any less.
No, you're exactly right. And also, we've talked about it. We've compared this game to the Florida game. Like, if you beat Florida, well, you should beat Florida. Florida sucks. If you don't beat Florida, oh my gosh, everything's horrible. And in this game right here, it's a Music City Bowl, right? This game does not matter. It does not matter in the grand scheme of things. But losing this game feels like the world's ending tonight, right?
Well, it certainly does for fans.
Yeah.
I mean, it sets the tone for the next, 8 months. And you got to go to the portal. You better land some people that can really help you. I don't think, as Hub said to me down the field, you can't take enough defensive tackles, and you can't take enough safeties. And you lost your Mod McCoy, you lost Ricky Gibson, Colton Hood not available for this game, and it just showed up. I mean, when they needed to make something play or make something happen through the air, they did, and then they hit some just for Tennessee it was ill timed. For them, it was well timed. I mean, their backside runs, and Tennessee had no answer for it. So, they did take Joey Aguilar out of the game. Those three safety look, the two high safeties. I mean, Tennessee, they never really tried to take a deep shot down the field, but they also ran it, and then would get impatient with their play calls, I thought, once they crossed the 30.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those games where they were playing that three-high safety look. This is a look that Tennessee's seen a lot. Tennessee didn't try to take many vertical shots. It was all, and Josh Heupel mentioned this plenty of times in the post-game press conference, and he's right, and it played right into what the Illini wanted to do. I mean, it was a condensed football game, long sustaining drives. Tennessee had 3 possessions in the first half. I looked at you, Austin, in the first half. I said, feels like Tennessee's barely had the football. The time of possession at the time of my comment wasn't that different, but it turned out to be a huge difference there towards the end. It was a condensed football game, and when you don't take advantage of some of those offensive possessions, it's going to hurt you. But there were a couple times in that second half, again, Tennessee had to have some plays. 3rd and 15, Tennessee got 17 yards or whatever it was. 4th and 1, Tennessee got 6 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee cut it within 3 twice before the Dodson kickoff return. So Tennessee's offense didn't go away. Tennessee fought. It's just it couldn't make a stop. And that goes back to the final drive where Illinois had the football, 4:58 left, and never gave the football back to Tennessee.
Yeah, and, from the standpoint of the defense, a lot of young guys out there running around, right, trying to make plays. And I think when you talk about those backside runs, like one of those the Valentine kid had, and I thought it was a really nice cut to get backside, and Jaden Perlotti flew in there really quick and just kind of missed him. But then he recovered and tackled him. Now, granted, it was 12 yards down the field, but to go to Austin's point, you just didn't have some of those guys that you needed to make plays. You saw a Tyree West and Josh Josephs team up for a strip sack and a scoop and score at Mississippi State. You saw Josh Josephs come up big against Georgia with a strip sack late in that game that gave Tennessee a chance to win that ball game down the stretch. It just didn't feel like you had those guys that you needed there tonight, and those young guys, you've got to continue to bring them along. Josh Heupel talked about how important the development piece is moving forward, and they've got a lot of bright young pieces that they're excited about. But you've got to continue to develop. You've got to continue to bring them along. And tonight they just couldn't get a hand on Luke Altmaier when they needed to. I mean, it never felt like they were within an arm's length of him.
No, definitely not. Austin, let's go to Tennessee offensively. Again, we mentioned, that the game plan was to not let anything over their heads, keep everything in front of you. Tennessee, I thought, had success running the football pretty well. I thought Tennessee should have ran it even better. But you look at Aguilar's stats, 14 of 18, 121 yards, completed 78% of his passes, whatever. It felt like he didn't have a big part of this football game. The strip sack got a hold on the football, obviously, but to that point, I thought the offensive line had
a bad day.
A horrendous football game.
I thought Pendleton got beat a few times. Hurd had a bad misstep.
David Sanders
slid. I didn't think David was that bad.
They gave out some pressures, but I thought Pendleton played worse. I thought Hurd had a couple of bad plays.
But every time, obviously the strip sack that led to the touchdown was catastrophic.
I saw the replay. It looked like Hurd stepped on Sham's foot and then slipped.
Yeah, he slid.
Yeah,
he took too big of a step, and then it was almost like it was too slick, and he slid, and he couldn't recover.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, it was catastrophic. But they had a bunch of ill-timed, moments where they couldn't. They couldn't help themselves in terms of, like, Joey held on to the ball, offensive line, gave up the pressure, sack, and all of a sudden it went from 2nd and 3 to 3rd and 9, and they didn't take what was there in front of them. I thought, for points and times in this football game, and so it's it is what it is. It's a bowl game. You'd like to have won it. Here's the thing: Tennessee fans have clamored for change on the defensive side of the ball. They're going to get it, and you should be excited about that. You just should. I know tonight, is what it is. Nobody likes to lose. This team entered November with 2 losses. They will exit December with 5. It's a rough couple of months, and it just is. And the last 2 games they've given near 600 yards on the ground between Vanderbilt and Illinois tonight, and that's rough. But you made the defensive change for this very reason. Now you have to let Jim Knowles, his defensive staff, and the people you add out of the portal go to work, and that's what this boils down to. Next year is a pivotal year for Josh Heupel. He's very well aware of it. That's why he made this change. And so you can sit there and go, they're done. They're done. Move on to the next staff. It's easy to say that. But in this era where you can trade out players, and if you mesh right, you can end up being right back in the thick of things a year from now. The problem is they got a really tough schedule next year, which means they better hit on a lot of players. Defensive linemen, safeties, obviously have to hit on a quarterback in some form or fashion. But, this one, as he said, this one's burned into his mind, just like a couple of those other plays at some point in time this year.
Yeah. Matt and I were talking about after the game. I think Tennessee needs, we're talking about a Monday night chat as well. I think Tennessee needs no less than 4 defensive backs. I would take 2 safeties. I would take a corner. I'd take a nickel. I'd take a linebacker. I would take as many defensive linemen that want to come. I would take a quarterback, and I would take a running back. There's a lot to add, but also, Matt, there is a lot of talent on this roster. Think about Tennessee's offense as we look kind of ahead right now after, it's 2025 is officially in the rearview mirror. Tennessee's going to bring back not an elite, but a good running back, a 1,000-yard rusher, okay, and a younger guy that you like in that room, Morris, and they'll probably add somebody else. Offensive line played really bad in big football games, and that's got to change. But you're bringing back, at least 4 starters, and you count Sham 5, you would think. Bringing back a couple of big-time wide receivers. The offense is bringing a lot back. And then defensively, we'll see who wants to hit the portal and all that. But there's a lot of young talent on that, and a lot of the talent played here tonight. So Heupel was kind of trying to stress that in postgame, but no doubt about it, you're going to have to add. And Austin, do you still think the number is probably around 10 in the portal?
At least.
Okay.
So I think at least.
10 to 15?
Yeah, 10 to 12.
Okay.
That's the way I see it. And most of those got to be on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
Exclamation.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right offensively, though. There's a lot of talent coming back. There's a lot of production coming back. Tennessee's had success when they've been able to do that. You've got to try to replicate some of that. I mean, when you brought a Jalen Hought and a Cedric Tillman back a couple of years ago, they continued to build on what they had done, things they'd picked up. Mike Matthews and Braylon Staley, those guys should have some momentum going into next year. I think Austin's right. You got to hit on a quarterback in some form or fashion. But when you have that type of production coming back on that side of the football, if you're going portal heavy, you have an appeal and whatever, if it ends up being whoever it is at that position, they're going to have people to work with. That's the point that I'm trying to drive to.
And it will be interesting to kind of see which avenue they go, because you can make a case, and Brent's made this case. Jim Knowles should improve the defense X amount of spots, right? They were ranked in the 80s. Can he get them to the 40s and go get a big time quarterback? You could also make the case you went to the college football playoff last year with an elite defense and very pedestrian quarterback play. So
a quarterback that threw over 200 yards one time in SEC play, and that was the last game of the year.
And so, what direction do they go next year? Which direction do they want to go? And that's a Josh Heupel decision. I don't think they're going to be in the Sorsby sweepstakes. I think that's passed them by. I think they're talking to some people around Levitt, and then after that, we'll see kind of who's available over the next couple of weeks as this thing goes along.
This awesome. We'll stay with you. Moving on again, the season's over now. Assistant coaching changes. It's going to happen fast and furious.
It is. It's just going to. I mean, like, you have to. I mean, I talked to multiple people the last couple of days. Most people expect the defensive staff to be complete when the portal opens on Friday, which means the next 72 hours are going to be a lot of change. And, Josh Heupel and Jim Knowles, I think, know the direction they want to go. And it was about getting past this game, and now they'll go that direction.
Tennessee falls in heartbreaking fashion in the Music City Bowl. Another tough loss in this Music City Bowl. Now they're 1-3 in Music City Bowls.
Yes, well, combined. What's the? I don't know. I'd have to look, but they've lost 3 games by what?
3 points last time. 2 points. That's 5. How much did they lose in 2010?
I think 3. They lost on a field goal.
So that's 8. 3 losses, 8 points.
Yeah, and it's all every time in heartbreaking fashion.
Yeah. It just kind of sums up the season, man. Talent, but the same mistakes kind of reared its ugly head. Missed field goals, missed tackles, getting washed out of your zone, your gap, poor pass protection. Tennessee falls 30-28, and now it is full-fledged into the offseason. Transfer portal, again, officially opening on Friday. Assistant coaching news is going to happen probably before that. So a lot to discuss. We'll continue to react. We'll look back at this football game, what went right, what went wrong, who stood out, and be out and locked in on the Journal's Quarters the next couple of days, because it's going to be fast and furious, and we will have all the nuggets for you right here at Volquest.com. For Matt Ray, Austin Price, I'm Eric Kane. Appreciate you guys for joining us all season long here for our game day coverage. 30-28, Tennessee falls to Illinois in the Music City Bowl.